Today, we're going to jump back to 16th century Spain because I want to explore one of the most incredible ideas in mystical thought. It comes from St. Teresa of Avila, and it's her concept of a spiritual marriage, this idea of the soul's ultimate total union with the divine. This one line from St. Teresa, it really gets right to the heart of what we're talking about. This isn't some big external event. No, this is something that happens in the deepest, most secret part of who you are. It's mysterious, it's personal, and it's completely transformative. So in her masterpiece, The Seventh Mansions, St. Teresa lays out the final stage of this whole spiritual journey. And she doesn't just call it a connection or, a feeling of closeness. She uses a very specific and incredibly powerful word, marriage. So what in the world did she actually mean by that? Well, according to Teresa, this isn't something the soul achieves on its own. It's a gift, a grace that it receives. It's a state where the divine literally binds itself to the soul, kind of like how two people are joined in wedlock. And that creates a bond that is absolute and, this is the most important part, completely permanent. Okay, but that raises a really important question, right? Lots of spiritual traditions talk about feeling a sense of union with the divine. But St. Teresa was super precise here. She drew a really sharp line between this ultimate state and other, more temporary experiences of grace. So how does she make this distinction so clear? Well, she contrasts two totally different states, what she calls a spiritual betrothal and then the final spiritual marriage. And honestly, understanding this difference, that's the key to getting just how deep her idea really goes. And the difference is just crystal clear when you see it laid out like this. A spiritual betrothal is beautiful, don't get me wrong, it's a real union. But just like a human engagement, it can be broken. The two can be separated, and the soul absolutely feels that absence. Spiritual marriage, though, that's the final deal. It's a bond that can't be dissolved. The soul is now permanently in its center with God, and it never ever loses that divine company. Now, to make these pretty abstract ideas feel really concrete, St. Teresa uses a couple of simple but just brilliant metaphors. They really paint a powerful picture for us. Okay, so here's her image for the spiritual betrothal. I want you to picture two candles, and you bring them so close together that their wicks touch and they share a single united flame. It's a really powerful image of unity. But here's the crucial part, right? Even though there's only one flame, you still have two separate candles. You can just pull them apart and that one light instantly becomes two again. So the union, while it's totally real, is ultimately separable. But for spiritual marriage, she gives us a completely different metaphor. Just imagine rain falling from the sky into a river. There's that split second of contact, and then it's just a total irreversible merging. And that just perfectly illustrates her point. Once those raindrops hit the river, can you ever separate them out again? No way! They've become the river. It's now one single, indivisible body of water, forever. And that is the nature of spiritual marriage, a permanent, irreversible transformation into one single thing. So, if this union is so total and so permanent, what does it actually feel like? How does it change a person's inner world? Let's dig into the effects of this incredible state. Remember how Teresa said this all happens in the innermost center of the soul? Well, that location is everything because it suggests there's a core part of us, a center, that can exist in this state of profound, unshakable peace no matter what's going on at the surface. The number one effect is an unalterable peace. Just think about that for a second. A peace that cannot be disturbed. Teresa says that all the normal chaos of life, our senses, our thoughts, our really intense emotions, they simply can't break through and disrupt this core of stillness. The soul never moves from its center. It has found its permanent home. And to explain how this deep peace can exist at the same time as all of life's struggles, she gives us one last incredible metaphor. It's the image of a king sitting safely in his palace while his entire kingdom is in total chaos. And this is really where it all comes together. Our lives, our kingdom, will always have wars and disasters. That's just part of being human. We're going to feel pain, confusion, sorrow. But in the state of spiritual marriage, the king, that innermost center of the soul, it stays right there on its throne, totally secure and at peace, ruling from a place that the chaos just can't touch. And that kind of leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about, doesn't it? Whether you look at this through a lens of faith, or maybe psychology, or even philosophy, what does it mean to imagine that there's a core part of yourself, an inner citadel, that can stay calm, centered, and at peace, no matter what storms are raging outside?